Back at it this afternoon here at Gulfstream Park West as we kick off the first full week of racing this autumn season at GPW. What a difference a few days make. The sun is shining. We're on the turf this afternoon. Looking forward to that. We are fast. We are good. And we'll welcome you to this live Wednesday edition, our opening Wednesday broadcast, in fact, of Gulfstream Park West today. Jason and Ronnie from our respective studios here joining you in Miami Gardens. And this will kick off, Ronnie, this 8-race card today will kick off what amounts to a 6-day live racing week.
Yeah, we got a holiday card on next Monday for Columbus Day, so we'll be going 6 days in a row, so make sure you mark that down on your calendar.
Absolutely, and some big news, in fact, over the dark days here, capping that abbreviated opening weekend for the fall season at Gulfstream Park West with Gulfstream Park's championship season. $13 million in stakes purses alone being announced yesterday, and opening day will be coming up on Wednesday, December 2nd. We end here at Gulfstream West on a Saturday. There's no live racing for 3 straight days, and the champions will no doubt be coming in December 2020 on that second afternoon of the month.
Yeah, I got the $3 million Pegasus World Cup in there and the $1 million turf. So everything looks like it's going to be a fantastic season once again.
All right, I see Julian Leparoux in the Oxley colors. You got Jose Ortiz in the middle there in the Calumet colors, and not sure. It looks like Tyler, in fact, in the red, white, and blue. But we'll figure out who the rider of the 6 and 8. Who those guys are as we run that slate. You'll be seeing it quite often here over the next few days, no doubt about that. As we move into, well, again, the first Wednesday program and our first 8-race card in nearly a year on this circuit. And with that in mind, just a friendly reminder that Friday, in fact, is another round of the $100,000 guaranteed Stronach 5. And we, for a change, Ronnie, on this circuit do have the opening honors. We get to kick this thing off with our nightcap.
Yeah, I can't seem to remember us ever kicking it off. We might have done it once before, had the first and
third. Yeah, a couple of times here and there, but it's been a rarity.
Yeah, so that'll be race number 8 around 4 o'clock for us. And then you got Laurel, Santa Anita, and Golden Gate Field. So we're kicking it off with our final race on Friday afternoon.
Moving on to the opening leg of the Pick 5, and we do have some turf waiting in the wings on the program. We'll start the new week here with the 12:05 Eastern post time and a tricky race on paper in this upcoming early Pick 5 opener. There's just not a lot of prior form, and you've almost got a couple of key different groups. I mean, horses like the 2 First Cadet and my top pick, the 6 Gabriella Sunshine, who are descending down to maiden 25. And then you've got a couple of firsters that might be live, including a 1-2 punch for trainer Kathleen O'Connell. I'm 3, 6, 7 to start. I like David Fox in both halves of the early double today, but I also used, in addition to his 8 Miss Big Spring, I think for 12-5 on a dry dirt track, the 6 Talk to Talk is going to run well this afternoon. Spread obviously in the third. Most of the firepower in that race is on the extreme outside. And I guess those posts worry me a little bit going a mile with a fairly quick run into the first turn. So I've got a mid-pack horse and also an inside positioned horse, an Avocado Toast, in that 4-horse spread in the third. I think, although he didn't do a ton of serious running, the figure that the 7 Grand Runner got, and he showed enough interest first out, I think a combination of him just being better in his second start today and appreciating a longer race. I think he's going to be a fairly big favorite for Victor Barboza. I singled him, and then a 3-pack 2-3-12 spread closing this thing out for a $36 play. But, you know, getting back to my original point, Ronnie, in this upcoming 2-year-old $25,000 to $20,000 maiden claimer, there's just not a lot of form in this spot. And again, you've got horses that do have some race day experience, like my top pick and yours, evidently, the 6 Gabriella Sunshine. I think this is a race where he's just going to run a lot better dipping in for maiden 25.
Yeah, listed as a gelding this afternoon, drops to that level, as you mentioned. First start since failing to handle maiden special weight competition. That was going 5 furlongs on the turf. He ran okay fourth, this horse, in his special weight debut on the dirt. You know, he spotted perfectly, I think, in the nightcap, in the opener, excuse me, look at the nightcap already. And he's
There's only 8 today, dude. Yeah. You don't have to rush it.
Well, he's 3 to 5 up there, and I think that was good. So, and I used the 3 in second. You have a third. Altman actually opened up at the favorite, and it's a gelded son of Bellamy Road. I just wanted to quickly show you a stat from Kathleen O'Connell with Bellamy Road. 2-year-old, first-time starters, maiden claimers at Gulfstream Park West. So 4 for 24, 17%. 45% in the money. 359 is the return of investment. I thought it would be more when I did it. I wanted to show it, but I guess it's only started 24 horses. That's 2-year-olds in maiden claiming condition.
And obviously that stat will work well for the 7, or at least fits the parameters of the 7. Time Won't Let Me Go, which is the other KO trained firster by overanalyzing the race. We'll see. I mean, Gabriella Sunshine and the number 2 First Cadet, who I've got 4th, and you have capping your try. They're both down to maiden 25 and appear anyway to have caught a fairly modest-looking field on paper. We'll stay on the dirt. We move on to race number 2. We've got a 3-and-up filly and mare, 3 lifetime, 12-5 to 10-5 claimer. And as we talk about this race, we're also, I think, another key issue, or at least big nugget going into this card, how does the main track play? And looking at what transpired here over the course of 2 days and 19 races, by my count, we had 9 of 19 races won wire to wire. And on Saturday, 8 of the 10 races was won by a horse that was never worse than 3rd. And on Sunday, 7 of the 9 races were won by a horse never worse than 3rd. So speed was very, very good. And as we dig apart and kind of pull apart the PPs in the second, let's start with the 1 Traverse, who does have the distinction of being the only horse in this upcoming lower-level restricted claimer in out of a victory. And this was a race at the top of the stretch. I would have probably taken, if you just freeze it here, Ronnie, the 6 Reiterate, who's on the lead right now. I mean, what price would you take on her? Would you take 2 to 5?
Reiterate, yeah, definitely, yeah. And this horse Traverse really closed well in that race. So yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Plus, the start of this race, this horse here that you're showing spotted the field about 3 lengths. So it was a very impressive performance. When I was handicapping these races, I handicapped for speed. But boy, this, as you can see, this horse coming up to get up and win it was very, very impressive.
No, she was good. An easier field. I mean, this is a tougher race, and there are a number of ever-changing variables surrounding basically just about every key runner she's going to have to face that maybe look a little bit better on paper than she does. Horses like the 2 Words of Divine, who's in for the 12-5, and you've got the 6 Talk the Talk. And evidently, you and I both like trainer David Fox to sweep the early double. And I'll say this about the 8 Miss Big Spring. She's got speed, and although she ran on the turf last time out, keep in mind, second half of September was all speed. I mean, it was inside position horses combined with early speed that dominated over that Gulfstream turf course. Sugarbolt, in fact, her stablemate, won that race, and I just think the argument's there that she is back with that early foot, doing what she does best, and that's just sprinting on the dirt.
Well, she skipped a couple of conditions when defeating those 12-5 open claimers, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. That was during June. Returns, as you mentioned, to the main. Finished that stalk to pace force against this level, going 5 on the grass. Got the speed. Looks like this horse classes up really nicely in the spot. You mentioned Words of Divine, dropping into this non-winners of 3 for Steve Caceres. And Talk the Talk maybe will run well in there, drop it to the 12-5 level after a classic stalk and fade outing, going 5 on the grass. This is the lowest level this 4-year-old has ever competed on the main track, so the drop should help Talk the Talk.
No, ran for 10 back in early April. Ran for 10, but I think your point is she's got dirt races not all that far in the past that I think stack up nice with this field, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she thinks she runs well in there, but I like Miss Big Spring in that spot.
As we take a little breather here with the early double complete, back with Roddy's Rainbow 6 in just a few seconds. Well, we're getting ready for day 3 of 40 and a hearty welcome back here as our 40-day racing meet at Gulfstream Park West continues. Jason and Ronnie, second segment of the show, and we do have that guaranteed rainbow today, Ronnie, a 75K. It begins in race number 3, as is the case with these 8 race cards, which, by the way, we have today, tomorrow, and on Friday. And what are you doing this afternoon in the Pick 6?
Well, I got a $43.20 ticket, and I really like avocado toast in here for Bobby DeBona. I think that horse has got the speed. Didn't go to the outside. I think those might be logical horses. I went 2, 7, and 8 in the opening leg. In race number 4, you mentioned the Grand Runner. We're going to show that horse's race and slashing in there. In race number 5, I like Mystical Moon, maybe to spring an upset, 15-1 in the morning line. But I did also use Speed Franco, who was very impressive, winning its last race from post 12 and 24-7. Race 6, Demo Wonder, Frankly My Dear in there. And in race number, and also the 2-horse, Shady Summer. Race number 7, the 6th Hero of the Hour, what I like, Grand Old Par on top. And just too deep in race number 8 with Dreaming Thousands and Silver Dollar City, 1 of 2 from Ralph Nix.
Yeah, 1-2 punch for Ralph in the last, and both his horses may show good early speed. And as we start, a busy day as well for Antonio Sano, who has a 1-2 punch along with Ralph in the Wednesday nightcap. And Antonio, I think, has the horse to beat in the 11 Noble Maria. Maybe not by a wide margin, but I think her overall turf form, and I just don't care about that last race, which was rained off the turf at Gulfstream in the middle of last month. She's back on her surface and had faced some good horses, one of which she did and was a good second from an outside post against Aerodynamic, a 2-back. I like her and the number 10, Genie's Angel, who has just stepped up her game unequivocally on the turf. I mean, she's been a different horse on the turf for David Fox, who's got a legit chance, on paper anyway, in the first 3 races today. Was it the post that scared you away from both Genie's Angel and specifically Antonio?
Yeah, and I just wanted the inside speed. Who I perceive as the inside speed is the 2 Avocado Toast, who's going to try and use that speed all the way to the wire after opening and surrendering that 3-length lead when finishing 3rd at the same level and distance across town at Gulfstream Park. Bobby DeBona. And I like Eka Prado every while. He could nurse him along on the front end. I'm really curious to see how the turf course plays this afternoon. So I'm guessing it's speed in there, and I'm putting this one on top of my ticket. I use Caribbean Kitten, a daughter of Kitten's Joy, going back to what looks like her preferred surface after returning from the layoff. She finished that second in a race move from the grass to the main. And I use Karenina, who's going back to the turf and returning to Gulfstream Park West. Maybe both those karma changes can make her run a little bit better.
How about her lifetime record, though?
Yeah, unbelievable. 34, 1, 11, and 9.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how she runs.
Yeah, I mean, she normally picks up a check. That 1 for 34, though, obviously really scares me, and that's clearly the biggest issue with her. Well, otherwise, a filly that tries pretty hard and always seems to run well without winning. Now, the 4th race, completely different ball game, just in terms of comparing maybe the 3rd and 4th as we start another popular multi-race wager on the card, our late pick 5. And I think you've got a real favorite forthcoming in the turf finale today, and that'll go as race number 7 in the 8 Grand Old Par, who was bias compromised but still ran an okay race with a less than perfect trip a few weeks ago at Gulfstream, and he's descending in class. And I just like him, thinking he might be a bit more talented than the cast that he features and runs against in that 7th race, and built this play for $27 around him. Although, again, in terms of just overall heavy favorites, I think we're looking at a fairly paltry price on the 7 Grand Runner, 1 of 2 trained by Victor Barboza Jr. in this late pick 5 openers. The 2-year-olds get their chance to go 2 turns here on the main, and we'll go back and take a look at Grand Runner's first start. He didn't do a ton of impactful running, but first things first, he was actually a horse who was off just a little sluggishly. Not that he broke awfully from the gate, but he was just a little sluggish to get in stride. And I felt as though kind of put him behind the 8 ball when you consider Al Haybay went down to 4-5 and never had a straw in his path as a wire-to-wire winner. There he is out there in the Oxley colors. You'll see this horse, Grand Runner, start to gear up, and he puts in a noticeable run without having an impact on the top 2, of course, but a decent interest-filled run run nonetheless from right around the quarter pole home. And I would think being by Run Happy, even though Run Happy was more of a sprinter, but the Bernardini influence on the dam side and looking at this kind of one-pace nature that he displayed in his first start, he might be a horse entirely comfortable just stretching out and getting a longer race. And you factor that in with just the simple notion of being a second-time starter, likely a stronger, more comfortable effort all around for the number 7 Grand Runner.
Yeah, let's show you a stat on Victor Barboza. Just horses going sprint the route, all levels. He's 5 for 18, 28%, 44% in the money. 282 is the return of investment. I used Slashing in second, who's going to try 2-turn mile with blinkers added this afternoon after finishing that distance second behind a really impressive winner that day, Raison d'Air, and the 1-turn mile special weight of performance across town. Kent Sweezy, Angel Arroyo handling inside draw this afternoon. I just thought this horse was flattered by running behind that horse, who was very, very impressive.
Yeah, came back and didn't run all that well in the Poppy's Pride race fairly late on that final Saturday. But I hear you. I think Slashing's going to improve. I just think he's going to run better than he did last time out in that performance against Raison d'Air, and he's obviously well posted. You got a couple of firsters in the race, including the 3 Distorted Limits, who cost a lot and is likely off that pedigree, just crying out for a distance of ground, and he gets that in his debut for Kelsey Danner. And the other Barboza horse, who's by Malibu Moon with Edgar, did you notice that horse is a half the icebox?
No, I did not. I think I looked at it and it didn't mark it down. Yeah, that's amazing. So, yeah, we'll see how that race plays out, but I think you got the logical one on top there with the Run Happy baby.
He's going to be a big favorite, I think. Now, the 5th race has a horse who will, I would have to think, 100% almost guaranteed, even though we don't like talking in those terms, will start favored, and that is the number 12 Speed Franco from the outside. Now, I'm curious, and we'll go back to his last start, and, I mean, he was a layover in this race. Had he not been saddled with post number 12, and this was the point in the race after he tracked outside and tracked a 99-1 shot, I mean, he just blew this race wide open, which is why I pulled it from the mid-portion far turn run. But I'm curious because he's stepping up and facing better, and I think the issue with him as a whole was Francisco D'Angelo daring somebody to take this horse for 12-5, who, again, laid over this field. And had he not had post 12, probably would have been 1-5 against this group back on September 5th. So did Carlos David maybe claim a horse? The prior connections were a little antsy on losing for not all that much money, or was Francisco maybe bluffing and trying to get away with one, and Carlos stepped in? We'll get those answers this afternoon. I'm also wondering, Ronnie, because clearly you never really want to be going 2 turns on the turf. You never want to be in post number 12, per se. Yet going 9 on this turf course, which means they break furthest back in that infield chute, will that give him, in theory, potentially enough time to get a good spot before they really hit the bank of that clubhouse turn?
Yeah, it's really not as hard to do it at this track compared to Gulfstream Park West, where they just start and you got to go. So I think he can run well this afternoon. And he's the one to beat off that. Show you a quick stat on Carlos David. First after the claim on the turf over the past year, 5 for 9, 56%, 89% in the money, 10.37 is the return of investment. He's going to be really short price in there. I'm looking for an angle in here, and I went with the number 5, Mystical Moon. It's one of my angles that I like. He's stepping up to face open competition today with the distinction of being the only entrant in the body of the race to previous win at this 1 1/8 distance. Hector Berrios rides this long shot for Enrique Amano. Just a play that I think maybe I can, if I can't win it, I could be on the board. The horse likes 9 furlongs. I'm using Speed Franco 24/7 and Super Courage, but I'm just going to take a shot. I might even get more than 15-1 in that spot.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, 24/7 is going to take some play. He's down. Not a great effort out of him last time, and he's down in class. And it's a similar situation with the maker claim, the number 3 Super Courage. A lackluster performance against a better field last time. Not that this field came up easy. This is a pretty salty, for this time of the year, 12-5 claimer, and he was obviously claimed for a little more than what he's running for. They're going to get play, but clearly the race is about Speed Franco and the trip he pulls off the claim for Carlos David from that post number 12. Second crew of maiden special weight 2-year-olds on the program, which we like, as we turn the page on Wednesday 6th, and we'll bring on the Florida-bred 2-year-old Phillies. And I think the hierarchy in this race is basically led off by 2 fillies with race day experience who have both run well. And in the case of the 4, Frankly My Dear, and the 6, Demo Wonder, they have a number of shared parallels. They both run 3 times. They both run really well in their 3 races to date without winning and have gotten pretty close to breaking their respective maidens. Yet, digging a little deeper, you've got them off in their own corner, and they are running against a bunch of lightly raced horses, be it firsters and/or second-time starters, who are probably going to improve. And off the bat with the replay we're about to show, I'm hoping the improvement second out is the case here with One Night Stand. Now, she's one of a trio of fillies coming out of the Briella Demo Wonder race, and I wanted to show her because she got bet in this race for Joe Orsino. That's not a barn that runs all that many 2-year-old firsters during the summertime on the dirt, and for her to be 6-1 struck me as pretty live, and she was just off a little slowly, and sloppy track race, pretty tough for her to make up all that ground, and she was never a factor. In the meantime, here's your top pick, Ronnie, Demo Wonder, who chased Briella and put on a good battle and show with her and lost a tough one. Both she and the Iwinski filly are clearly the 2 they've got to get around here because they've just run pretty well to date.
Well, if you watch this race, you are watching this race if you're watching us on TV, I thought Demo Wonder might have won it. That's how close it was. It was that close at the wire. And I like the fact that Rowan Crichton ready for this slightly longer distance with a 5-furlong bullet drill over this track. So went there, Frankly My Dear, is turning back to this distance. Finished second to that impressive winner, Big Rings, going 6.5 furlongs last time out. Alan Iwinski, Rajiv Mirage, a daughter of Jess's Dream, and Carlos David's got that first-time starter that you have in 4th. Shady Summer is a daughter of Summerfront, the jockey and trainer combo of Jaramillo and David, win races at a 28% clip. So I like the fact that this jockey's jumping aboard this first-time starter, and Carlos has been doing a good job.
He has been doing a good job. The dam herself, a 3-time dirt route winner, and all 3 prior falls are winners in the family of the 2, Shady Summer. But again, races pretty much centered upon Frankly My Dear and Demo Wonder, and does somebody take a step forward and maybe leapfrog them in that cast of Florida-bred 2-year-old filly maidens. Final turf race goes in the 7th, and if you recall a few minutes back, my late pick 5 single is housed in this race, and I think you're probably in the neighborhood of even money or so on the number 8, maybe a touch shorter on the 8 Grand Old Par, who, as we go back to this gelding's last start just about a week and a half ago, he had some slight trouble early, we'll call it, where he was chasing in that second flight between, and it looked like when they hit just the bank of that far turn run, there wasn't enough room for him to switch leads comfortably, and Edgar took him back ever so slightly. I also wanted to pull this race because outside of the 3rd place runner, Sassy But Smart, who's the number, I think, 5. Yeah, the number 5 horse, and who was running back here late Friday afternoon, who I like. No, this was a portion of the late summer meet across town at Gulfstream where there weren't a lot of horses significantly and consistently making up ground on this turf course. Again, I thought Sassy But Smart ran gigantic against a bias that was favoring up-close types. And I like Grand Old Par here in an easier spot and catching a very fresh turf course.
Yeah, the drop certainly makes this little horse look much better in this spot for Mike Maker. Edgar Zayas in the saddle, just tougher in both those sprints since Mike claimed him for 16,000. So dropping back where this horse belongs, tried this tougher in 2 starts. Hero of the Hour, we tried sprinting on the grass only once previously. We'll try it again after the stalk to pace 4th against 20 state-bred option claimers. Louis Roussel, 25% with the turn-back move. And I'm guessing with Hydraulic, who ran okay sprinting on the turf against those 30 condition claimers, might be a little cheap in this spot.
Now, the 8th is a little bit of a guessing game. Maybe not as tricky per se as the 1st, but it's along those lines as we cash out the first Wednesday, first of a few here in Miami Gardens with the 16K 2-year-old maiden claimer. And again, off the bat, you've got Ralph Nix sending out a 1-2 punch. He's got the horse that I like, or I prefer of the 2 Nix runners in the 11, The Method, who I'm hoping steps forward after a lackluster, strongly bet debut in his second start today in for the 16,000. You've got the other Knicks runner who is probably going to be the speed down on the rail in the 2 Silver Dollar City. Yet I think you have the starting point and favorite in this race, Ronnie, picked on top in the 7 Dreaming Thousand, who looks like a buttoned-up favorite to me when you consider they aimed a little high last time, and he's back in for the 16.
Yeah, 3 for 3 in the money at the 16 level drops. He ended his sprint campaign across town with that trouble starting third against the 25 maidens. That was going 5.5, and that was also on a sloppy track. So the 7 Dreaming 1,000, I just like going back to the 16 level. Silver Dollar City, the method. We know how Ralph has been doing so well in the Party of No to close out my superfecta in the final race.
All right, sounds good. You'll have Ronnie and I with all of you throughout the afternoon here at GPW. We take a quick time out and a trip upstairs, in fact, and the one and only Pete Aiello for those scratches and changes.